السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتى اليقين فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My respected brothers and sisters, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's peace, His guidance, His mercy, His protection, His forgiveness be with you. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your efforts, your siyam, your qiyam, and your, all the good du'as which you are asking for, which you need each and every minute. You need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help in your life, and at the end of the life, and the beginning of the life, permanent life, when you will be brought in front of Allah. All of us will be brought in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Day of Judgment. Today's ayat will be about Ramadan, which is ayah number 183 and ayah number 184 of Surah Al-Baqarah. So inshallah we will start, and these ayats are very deep and we may go over about 5 more minutes than the designated time of 1 hour. Which is not even enough for one portion of the first ayah either. But we will try. So we start the program as usual about Quran, that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran about the Quran. And the example would be today from Surah An-Naml, which is 27th Surah, ayah number 1st and 2nd ayah of Surah An-Naml. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طاسين تلك آيات القرآن وكتاب مبين هدى وبشرى للمؤمنين. The translation of this ayah, Tasin, these are the ayat of this Quran, which is a book which make things clear. It is a guide to the right path, and it is a good news for those who follow it. Mu'mineen, those who are believers, and those who are following what they believe. Throughout the Quran, my respected Sadaqallahu Ladhim, throughout the Quran, my respected brothers and sisters, you know as much as I do that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anytime Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Iman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Amal as-Salih, because the good deeds. Because without good deed, there is no faith. And may Allah have mercy on us. That we have to, if we say that we have faith, then we have to perform the deeds which our faith requires us to perform, and we also are required to refrain from the things which our religion, the Quran and Sunnat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us to refrain from those things. So that completes your deen. If you follow what you are told, and if you refrain from what you are told to refrain from prohibited matters, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always talks about Inna alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat, that those who believe and those who act, those who have good deeds. So good deeds and Iman go hand in hand. We are told, from the very young age, I've been listening to it, you may have heard it, that Iman, that we have to have the Iman. But we are not taught that much about Amal as-Salih, what is Iman, what completes our Iman. So this ayah explains Quran and explains what Quran does, and it also explains that what are the benefits of the Quran and what you are supposed to do to achieve the benefits, to earn the benefits of Quran, to get the benefits from this Quran. Inshallah, now we will do the recitation of those 2 ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 183 and 184, and then translation, and then we come down to Tafsir inshallah. Today's ayat will be about the social spiritual and health benefits of fasting. Because we all heard that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a hadith, it's an authentic hadith. No doubt about it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the smell of a faster's mouth better than mushk, better than the perfume, better than the aroma, better than the fragrance of musk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that. But we need to look at the benefit why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to fast. What are the benefits of fasting? So today's ayat, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. صدق الله العظيم. The translation of these two ayat, the first ayah number 183, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, O you who believe. You see, in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses 4 different kind of addresses. Number 1 is Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, that those who you believe. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those who have denied Allah's message, Ya ayyuhalladhina kafaru. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those that Ya mashar al-jinni wal-ins, that O you group of jinn and ins. So it is, it completes all the creation among mankind and jinn by these 3 type of addresses. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, so that you may become righteous. Righteous means so you may learn how to refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is taqwa. Fasting, the next ayah is, fasting is for a fixed number of days, but if any one of you is ill or on a journey, the same number of days should be made up from the other days. Other days means after Ramadan, before the next Ramadan, but sooner the better. And as for those who can fast with difficulty, sick or older people, they are not sick, but they are old. But there are people, those who are sick, but they are not old. So it says the sick or older people, they have a choice to either fast that day or to feed a poor person for each day they miss. But whoever offers more voluntary good deeds on his own, it is better for him. If you fast, it is best for you. Only if you know. وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. If you knew it, fasting is the best for you. And that will be the topic of today's talk, inshallah. Tafsir of ayah number, the entire ayah will take it. Ayah number 183. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said kutiba alaykum, means that it is prescribed for you. Prescribed for you as it is made compulsory for you. It is made mandatory for you that you must fast. You must fast. You see, for Hajj, a person can say, I don't have money. I cannot afford to go. Okay? Zakat, a person can say, I don't have anything. With zakat on what? But in Siyam or in Salah, you see, having belief on Allah, Iman, Siyam, Iman, Salah and Siyam. These are the 3 things. Your financial status does not matter. You can be rich or poor. but you can have a firm belief on Allah. You can be rich or poor, but you can pray. No excuse. There is no excuse for fasting. But there are times, like for salah, that a person cannot stand and pray, then he should sit down and pray. So, same way, if person is genuinely sick, then we will talk about it. So, kutiba alaykum means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed for you, has made it mandatory and compulsory for you that you should fast. In ayat before this, like in ayah number 178, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had talked about kutiba in other matters also. Used the word kutiba, made mandatory, prescribed, made it compulsory for people. So in first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in ayah number 178, kutiba alaykumul qisasu, that all people, where the qisas have been made compulsory and mandatory for you. Qisas means equal retaliation or retribution. Equal retribution and retaliation is called qisas. And in case of murder and in case of anything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also provided some alternatives. It's not that it is firm that you must have eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth and neck for a neck, or you can take blood money, and you can also, it is better if you forgive somebody who has transgressed your limits. So Allah has given alternative. The second time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked about it so far in the ayat which we have studied so far, it is in ayah number 180. Kutiba alaykum idha hadara ahadakumul mautu an taraka khayral wasiyati lil walidaini wal aqrabain. About will, about final testament and the will, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that we should write our wasiyah, we should write our will, and then distribute it accordingly. And then later on in other ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us in ayat of Surah Nisa and ayat of Surah Al-Ma'idah, gave us the percentage that how to distribute. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a general rule that you must write your will. So after you are gone, or in your life, the things which you want to do, if you are incapacitated to do those things, so somebody else can do it on your behalf. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba. Again, the word is used, kutiba alaykum. In those two ayat, ayah number 178 and ayah number 180, the word kutiba is used there too, which means made compulsory, which means made mandatory, and it is prescribed for you that you must do this. And then give us other alternative. So Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar narrated that Rasulullah, this is Tafsir al-Qurtubi, so I have to give you a direct quote, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that Islam is based on 5 things. The testimony that there is no God, no deity worthy of worship but Allah, and Muhammad is his servant, is his slave servant and his messenger. The second is establishing prayers. Establishing prayers, my respected brothers and sisters, mean that if you are praying, then you should implement the lesson of prayers on your daily practices, on your daily life. Number one of them is discipline. So, establishing prayer. Number 3 is paying zakat. Number 4 is fasting during Ramadan. And number 5 is Hajj. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Islam has the 5 fundamental pillars that the whole the entire Islam and Islamic values and things like that, and legislation and jurisprudence is built upon these 5 things. Without these acts, the person has no deen. Without these 5 acts, and or one of them is missing, that a person say, okay, I fast, I do prayers, I'm doing Hajj and I'm giving zakat, but astaghfirullah, na'uzubillah, I don't believe on Allah. Or say I believe on Allah, but does not pray, or does not fast. There is no iman in that case. These are the 5 things which are the pillars. As-salat, especially for prayers, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, as-salatu imad ad-din. That your prayer is one of the imad, the amida, means the pillars, one of the foundational pillars of your deen, where this building of Islam is built upon these 5 things. Then Siyam, first of all, we need to understand, What is the meaning of the word siyam in Arabic? Siyam means to refrain from something which you are told not to do. That is called the siyam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala later on, Ayat, in ayah number 185, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word Ramadan. But before that, He's called it siyam. Means that you are, siyam in English I would say, that it is abstaining from prohibited matters. Abstaining from prohibited matters and following the prescribed matters. What you are told to do, do that. And what you are told to not to do, you do that. That will be, that you would not do that. That will be called siyam, that you are keeping, you are abstaining from certain acts. And that's why it is called, that's the meaning of word siyam. Fasting, my respected brothers and sisters, is not only abstaining from food and drink, but it is also from abstaining, lying and cheating, or hurting somebody, or somebody's feeling, and things like that, and avoiding all prohibited matters, whether there is a financial benefit for you in it, or any kind of worldly benefit in it. You know, you are told that during Ramadan, it's a training period which teaches you to how to live your life in the next 11 months. Ramadan is not only for 1 month, you know. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if one does not abandon lying and cheating and acting by his lies and by his habit of cheating, Allah has no need of him to stay hungry and thirsty. He should just go and eat, you know, if he is not following the limits. And in one of the hadith, it's very, very strong hadith, it says that la siyama man la salata lah. Means that the one who is fasting but not praying, his fast is not valid. If you are fasting, you must pray. If you're not fasting, you better go and eat. Don't hurt yourself. The other acts of worship, my respected brothers and sisters, Tafsir al-Tabari says, the other act of worship are outward. When you are praying, you are, people can see you that you are standing, then you're going down, then you are going in prostration, then you're getting up again, and you're going through second rakat, third rakat, fourth rakat, whatever. These are outward acts of worship. Fasting is both inward and outward. It's inside and also outside. And it builds a personality that continues that practice of fasting, your habit of fasting for next 11 months. The reward of fasting are enormous. In a hadith Qudsi, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that, "O people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have told me to tell you that every action, كُلَّ عَمَلَ بَنِي آدَمَ لُهُ إِلَّا الصَّوْمِ فَإِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا أَجْزِي بِهِ." That all actions of Bani Adam, progeny of Adam, are for himself or herself, except the sawm, except the fasting. It is for me, and I will reward for it. And we will talk about it. What does that mean? Fasting is mandatory in all divine religions. That's why kutiba alaykum siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. That it was made mandatory for people, those who were before you. Number of days could differ, the time could differ, but fasting was prescribed for all people. All divine religion prescribed fasting. This is the month of social, spiritual, and health benefits, and provides opportunity to continuously correct ourselves for the next 11 months. Ramadan is an annual refresher course, and it's a continuous education opportunity for those who want to learn. You see, the education courses or schools or colleges or training institutes or refresher courses are for those who want to benefit from it. And those who just want to take it, oh my God, now Ramadan is on me, what can I do? I have to fast, and then later on I should go to iftar parties. If that is the purpose, then there is no need for Ramadan, for this person to observe Ramadan, correct himself, and then come to the deen, or start fasting and start learning what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said and what Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's practice his word, and then continue to fast and learn his lesson. Major spiritual and social benefits of Ramadan. So I have to directly quote these things from there. And it says it is a month of moral and spiritual training, just like a boot camp. When you join the army, when you join the armed forces or police or anything, CHP for that matter, California Highway Patrol, when you join, you go to a boot camp. In the boot camp, they're teaching you the importance of following orders, and maintaining discipline all year long. You go to a refresher course or a continuous education opportunity, a continuous education course, and whatever you learn, you have to apply those lessons in the other 11 months until there is another course available for you. Those are called continuation education units. So the training of Ramadan is a training in Ramadan, but the effect of it is for 11 months. You have to practice what you learn in those 11 months. It improves moral and spiritual character of self-restraint, denying temptation, refraining from deliberate disobedience, and defiance of Allah's order. It teaches us not to do that. The feeling of hunger and thirst make us realize how weak we are. That you don't have water, now you start feeling in your mouth. We take these things for granted. Water and food, like it is our right. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell you from this time to this time, you are not going to drink water, you are not going to eat, then you know who you really are when you start feeling the hunger. And with love and care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and following His orders, you are cooking food, okay? And it is in front of you. The water is in front of you. But it is your care and concern and love because of Allah's order that you don't want to defy, so you don't touch the water. You don't touch. It teaches you what? That even when you are hungry, their food is in front of you and thirsty, and you are bone dry thirsty, and water is in front of you. But you avoid it for what? So you are learning how to avoid, how to deny the temptation, and use those lessons of denying temptation. Just something is there and you want it, but you don't go for it because you are told not to do it. So it teaches you that. Abstaining from food and water and waiting for the iftar. Abstaining for food and water, in our case about 16 hours and 20 minutes, 16 hours and 25 minutes nowadays. Alhamdulillah, the weather is much better. So iftar teaches us that even when you are hungry and thirsty, there is an end to a hardship, and there will be, Ramadan teaches us that there will be iftar when the time reaches such and such thing. So it teaches you to how to wait for the proper timing, and how to follow the discipline, and how to follow the instructions, and don't eat until that time. Don't drink until that time. What is the purpose we are coming to it? It increases our endurance and adaptability and changes our daily routine. Your whole daily routine is changed. You have to get up at certain time to do certain thing, and when there is prayer time, you have to pray. So it teaches us all those things. It also teaches us that if we can control hunger and thirst, you see, this is the urge from inside your body, that you are hungry, you need food, you are thirsty, you need water, and you controlling it. That control of the urge of food and water tells you that you are strong enough to control your other urges also, which we fall into. That I want to do this, man. Right or wrong, I need it. It teaches you that you are strong enough for the sake of Allah. This is a halal thing, the water in front of you. This is halal food in front of you. You're not eating it because Allah told you not to eat it. What about the other 11 months? This is permissible. Allah told you from this time to this time, don't do it. What about the prohibited things which Allah told you not to do at any time? It teaches us, it prepares us that we should learn, and we should stay away from those matters out of Ramadan and during Ramadan. It also, refraining from permissible things in Ramadan is strengthening our resolve to avoid the prohibited matters in other 11 months. Creates an environment of care and concern. Waking up early to help preparing food in a household. Eat and waking up everybody. Somebody puts the plates. Somebody does something else. Somebody is hard to wake up, but you have to bang their door for more often so they can get up. So preparing food, eating, praying, and breaking fast together with your family and your friends brings you closer. These are the social benefits of Ramadan, social lessons of Ramadan. Remember a family that goes into Ramadan, stand up in prayers, stand up fasting, breaking fast and getting suhoor and iftar together. A family who does that, a family who puts their forehead down in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in prayers during Ramadan or out of Ramadan. A family which stands together, stays together. Otherwise the family will split. If we get into prohibited matters, it's very hard to keep the family together. It reminds us that how dependent we are on things. How dependent we are on these paltry little things. How much a barrel of water costs? 50 cents. And that 50 cents, you don't have water, you have water, you have 50 cents, you are following Allah's order. Follow that lesson. Continue that lesson in other 11 months and refrain from disobedience, deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It connects us with Qur'an. Listening to it, whether it is in Taraweeh or reciting it ourselves or talking about it with our families. Ramadan does that. Continue that in other 11 months too. The month of Qur'an is the month of giving and sharing food and clothing, helping the destitute of the community locally and internationally. This is the meaning, my respected brothers and sisters, of this ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alladhina min qablikum. That the fasting is made compulsory, mandatory for you, so like it was made mandatory for people before you, so you learn how to refrain from deliberate disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how you become righteous. Unfortunately, in our communities, the rich don't even know how much money they have, and the poor unfortunately have no life and no recognition. You go to a iftar party, I avoid them. You go to a iftar party, you would not find a poor person, a poor relative, because he is not invited in that party. That is not the spirit of Ramadan. That food which you are offering to rich, filthy rich people, those who can buy that food, and better than that food, when we invite them and feed them, there is no ajr, there is no thawab, there is no benefit or reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that. You fed people, those who can feed you 10 times. So feed the poor, feed the hungry, feed the destitute, bring them, give them food which they can't get, because Allah gives you what you don't deserve. Why can't you do what Allah does? In Muslim countries, and also here in America, in the great good old United States of America, the poor have Ramadan all their lives, my respected brothers and sisters. Even in America, even in any Muslim country you go, don't think Saudi Arabia is so rich. There are poor, those who don't even have running water in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so it's little or no food, lack of clean water, the sewage facility, electricity, security, life security. People are scared in Muslim countries. Life security, joblessness, homelessness. In America, the poor are invaluable and dishonored by the rich, while the rich enjoy iftar parties. While the rich enjoy the iftar parties, and mashallah, celebration of Eid moon sighting. I have already, the invitation has already been sent. Chandrat in Urdu they call it. that people are ready to go to buy the makeup and buy the clothes and buy this and buy that. What did you do in Ramadan that you deserve that? We don't know whether we will be living tomorrow, but the invitation of Eid parties lists are already being made. We don't know that you will be here. Instead of learning and earning from this month, we are, getting ready to celebrate it. Ramadan reminds us that we need to treat the diseases of our heart. And we will come to the medical benefit. And it proves that how Ramadan treats the diseases of human body. Ramadan reminds us that we need to treat the diseases of our heart. I have to go back to Tafsir al-Qurtubi and quote from Ibn al-Qayyim, Hafiz Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah alayh, what he said, and Tafsir al-Qurtubi is quoting it, and Ibn Jarir al-Tabari also quoted it. It says that Ramadan cures, treats. Ramadan is the cure of rusting of your hearts. The hearts rust. With all these things we get ourselves involved, our hearts rust. So Ramadan cures the rusting of the heart caused by two bad habits. It talks about two bad habits. Number one habit is total heedlessness, total lack of knowledge of religious matters. Ramadan reminds us that Allah told you that this time is stop eating or drinking, and this time is start eating and drinking. When you hear the Adhan Maghrib, what you do? You run for prayer as soon as you eat. Very little iftar, break your fast, go for your prayer. Come back from prayer. If you are eating at home, get your family together. You are reminding them that you are slaves, you are servant, and you are not the master. Master is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So bow down to Him and prostrate to Him. And then you can fall on the food as much as you want. Come back and eat again. It says number one is total heedlessness in the religious matters. The total lack of knowledge in religious matter, and excessive sinning. Lot of sins. Remove that rust from your heart. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi said, remove that rust from your heart by doing two things. Number one, continuously seek forgiveness of Allah. Istighfar. Do as much istighfar as you can during Ramadan, and avoid sins as much as you can, and take that lesson to the other 11 months. Number two is the continuous remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dhikr. Dhikr is not with some groups are telling you that this is dhikr of Allah and you can stand up and dance on it. No. Dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallahi wa bihamdi, subhanallahi ladhi. There are millions of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which you can choose any and sit respectfully. Praying, sitting in the direction of Qibla. If you are sitting, if laying down, no problem. But you continuously remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reach out to your family and connect with them. And reach out to your community. That will clean the rust of your heart. Otherwise, you will die in that state and you will have a very, very bad accountability. Very serious accountability. The time is coming when people will be talking about Zakat al-Fitr. My respected brothers and sisters, what you hear, the Zakat al-Fitr need to be paid before the Eid prayer. It doesn't mean that you wait until the Eid, you go for Eid prayer and then start praying Zakat al-Fitr. The purpose of Zakat al-Fitr is that the people, the poor and destitute of your community, those who cannot afford the food of Ramadan during Ramadan or clothing at the celebration of day of Eid, so you give them Zakat al-Fitr so they can have something better to eat during Ramadan. We are all going to the different stores and different places and collecting this date and that date. We don't care whether that date comes from Israel. We are supporting it, we are buying it and saying, Allahumma inna laka sumtu wa bika amantu wa alayka tawakkaltu, and then wa ala rizqika aftartu, and eat dates from Israel. So just think what we are doing. Think about those who cannot afford anything. So zakat al-fitr can be given anytime during Ramadan. And now we come to the tafsir of ayah number 184, which is the next ayah, and which says, أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Ayyama madudat, what does that mean? Ayyam means days, madudat means accounted, prescribed dates, it specifies days. You cannot have Ramadan anytime. You can have nafil siyam anytime. But fard siyam would be only in Ramadan. It means that the days of Ramadan are counted. How they are counted? By the sighting of the moon. Well, that is another problem in our community. That, there will be 3 different Eid in one city. Because somebody sees something somewhere and somebody insists to do something certainly. And we are going to run into that problem again. When is the Eid? May Allah, replace our leadership and bring people up front, those who are guiding us to the right path, because by acting themselves on the right path. The problem is the leader himself is not on the right path in any Muslim country. Then the next thing is, it is the Ayyama Madudat are from sighting of 2 moons, the beginning of Ramadan and ending of Ramadan. That's how you are counting days. It could be 29, it could be 30. There are no 28 days in Muslim lunar calendar, and there are no 31 days in lunar calendar. The next part of the ayah is فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيدًا, means that if anyone among you is ill. There are 2 possibilities of someone being ill. Tafsir al-Qurtubi says the first one is the person is so ill that he cannot fast at all. And the fasting can make his condition worse. That's the person who is allowed not to fast. Not to fast. The person, some people would tell you, I cannot live without food. Excuse me. You eat to live, you're not living to eat. So they have their cart before the horse. The cart is in the front, horse is in the back. And that's why they are what they are. And lack of understanding, the hearts are rusted. The person is able to, number 2 is another kind of person who is not allowed to, who is given the facility to not to fast, is the person who is able to fast with difficulty, but fasting would not threaten his life. If his condition worsens, he has to start the fast. But if his condition worsens and he has to take medicine, which for serious diseases you have to take medicine periodically. And those hours, if you don't take it in that time, then these are about serious diseases. Not that my ankle hurts and I cannot fast. You're not fasting from your ankle or your knees, you're fasting in your stomach. So if his condition worsens to become a threat to his life, at that time he can break his fast. If the condition is not worsening, then he is not allowed to break his fast. Al-Qurtubi says that most of the scholars agree that when someone's illness is painful or harms him, if he fasts, only then he can break the fast. There are several quotations, but I'm just stopping at one. And then when it says وَعَلَى سَفَرٍ فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ, and if he is on a journey. This is the most misused, this portion of the ayah is most misused by Muslims themselves. They say that we are traveling, so we don't have to fast. So the traveling, there are some conditions, and said there are certain conditions for traveling. Now this is important. The fundamental condition of traveling is that the travel must be in accordance to permissible reasons and in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody wants to go to Reno for sightseeing or go to Vegas to play slot machine there, and for that reason he cannot stop fasting. He is not a traveler. The travel to Las Vegas or Reno or trade, vacations, sightseeing, attending parties, attending marriages back in your home country or your East Coast or West Coast or Southwest and Northwest, or other celebrations, the person must fast. He has to fast. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam allowed some of his companions not to fast while they were in Ghazwa, in the holy battles. They were in Ghazwa, they were preparing for it, or they were fighting the enemies and they were weak. They were traveling on foot, they were traveling on horseback, long distances, on horseback and camelback for a long time. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because of their physical condition and what they need to do to be able to fight, the preparation, he allowed them not to fast. So some people fasted and some did not fast during the battles. I want to share this. A few years ago, I met 3 or 4 brothers. They came from somewhere from Bay Area, which is less than 100 miles. They came from there and they came to do a fundraising for their masjid, to one of the masajid, and I happened to be there at the time, unfortunately. And the brothers, when I met them, they were sitting outside, and I saw them that they are eating. So I went to their BMW 735i, and they were sitting in there and eating. So when they came out and I said, "Brother, you're not fasting?" He says, "We are traveling." This is our misunderstanding and misuse of the ayat of Qur'an, wa ayadu billah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he said about this is here. Imam Malik said, it is allowed not to fast if someone is traveling and suffers the fatigue and has the fatigue equal to traveling 48 miles on a horseback or on a camel. If you are on a camel and the fatigue you have, not BMW, okay, if the fatigue you have, it would take you 48 miles, may take you whole day on a horseback, non-stop, okay, and camelback or horseback. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi said that the travel time should be a day and a night, or 2 days. 2 days or a day and a night. Al-Qurtubi and other scholars, Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, As-Siddi, and Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anh said, he was the companion and the first cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that the sea journey is a day and a night or 2 days. Land journey on land, that causes the fatigue equal to traveling 48 miles. 48 miles is about, in Arabic measurement, is called farsakh. So farsakh is little bit less than a mile. Okay, 1 farsakh is little bit less than a mile. So it says 50 farsakh, means about 48 miles on horseback or camel. If you have fatigue, sitting on the horse and you're jumping up and down, or your camel, and you're going back and forth, that causes fatigue. 48 miles. Then you can give up the fast. Not coming from Bay Area to here in BMW and sit and eat McDonald's sandwiches and call it that, Allah gave us this facility. Allah gave us brain too, and we don't use it. Al-Qurtubi and others said that a person is not a traveler by making an arrangement that you bought the ticket to go on 17th of May. Now, when the sun hits of 17th May, you didn't wake up before the sunset, before the sunrise, and you didn't do your suhoor because you are traveling that day. You are not a traveler just by having a ticket or having an intention. Your travel starts after you leave the outskirts, the city limits where you are staying. When that city ends and all the dwelling has passed and you are in an area which is away from where you are resident of, at that time you can break your fast. Until then, you have to get up, you have to start your fast. And if your plane leaves, you're going at 9:30 at night, but you miss the fast from the morning. There is no fasting at night. I have seen people doing that. Some people have asked question about it. I'm leaving tomorrow. What time you leaving, brother? Oh, 8:30 at night. I said, you break your fast and then you break fast is before that. Iftar is before that. Iftar time, breakfast time is before that. So break your fast and go. When he travels, Tafsir al-Qurtubi says, when he travels in Ramadan, he must not stop fasting before he leaves, before leaving his house and leaving the outskirts of the city of his residence. When it says فَإِدَّةٌ مِّن أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ, means that to replace those days, fast those days in the number of days in the other days. Same number of days from the other days. Al-Qurtubi says, and Tafsir al-Suddi says that it means that whoever among you is ill or on a journey should break the fast and then make up in other days. So it is not a free ticket. If you get off the hook today by not fasting, you have to make up that fast some other day. It may be more difficult. And sooner the better. Now we'll talk about, inshallah, the health and medical benefits of Ramadan. The health and medical benefits of Ramadan. And this is not from any tafsir book, because people think that I'm taking them back to 1400 years ago. Well, we have that problem, some people, that this is all, or qalu hada asatirul awwalin, that they will tell you that these are the stories of the past. Why you take us back to 1400 years ago? Well, Islam is much, much, much older than 1400 years. Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam was sent down as a Muslim. Adhan is thousands of years old. Kaaba was built by Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam and then rebuilt by Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. So what is your argument that I'm taking you back to 1400 years ago? So this is from the United States. Let me give you this is from the United States Department of Health and Human Services. These are the studies of the United States Department of Human and Health Services, and this is available on the website of United States National Library of Medicine. National Library of Medicine of National Institute of Health, which is under the United States Department, federal government's Department of Health and Human Services. And it says, before we get to that, let me complete that. It says the fasting, intermittent fasting. What is intermittent fasting? Some people in some religion, they fast for 2 days straight, 48 hours, not eating anything, not eating anything, not taking any food, no nourishment. In Islam, that's haram. That's haram in Islam. You don't go for more than that 16, 18, 20 hours fast, where depending upon where you are living. You don't do a complete fast, like 48-hour fast. So it says the United States Department of Health and Human Services says that the intermittent fasting, we are fasting intermittent. We start from at a certain time, 4:16, 4:15 nowadays in the morning, and we continue and we break fast at 8:19, 8:20, 8:21, and it's increasing now. Today is 8:21. It's more than 16 hours of fast. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It tells you how strong you are. Don't chicken out when you hear the word Ramadan. Stand up. You're very strong. So it says the intermittent fasting is associated with a wide variety of potential health benefits, such as weight loss. What we are doing, Jenny Craig, South Beach diet, running around here and there to lose weight, right? It says the health benefits such as weight loss, blood sugar control, heart health, brain function. Well, Muslims need a lot of brain function, right? We're brain dead. Majority of us. Brain function and cancer prevention. This is United States Department of Health and Human Services says. And for cancer prevention. So we go back to what we were talking about, the medical and health benefits of fasting. The fasting breaks the cycle of our bad habit. You go to masjid and sometimes there are people coming to do the dawah work. And you bring them food, right? And you walk into the masjid and you see these 5-6 brothers sitting there eating, mashallah, very good. We brought the food, eat. Well, half an hour later, somebody else bring the food. They sit down and eat again. These are our bad habits. The science tells us that human body doesn't need more than twice a day food. Twice a day. What are you doing in suhoor and iftar? Twice a day meal. You don't stay whole night, but some people do. You stay whole night, turn on the cable TV and watch Turkish channel or Pakistani channel or Indian channel and have a movie and have a tray in front of them and keep munching. You're beating the benefits of Ramadan. It says that it breaks the cycle of our bad eating habits, gives rest to our internal organs. You can't fill that poor stomach. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, when you eat 1/3 of your stomach, fill it with food. The other 1/3, fill it with water and leave the last 1/3 empty. We fill it all the way up to our throat, it's right here to your tonsils. And then what you do, you're running to get antacid, Tums, this and that, because you overate. Because when food starts fermenting in your body, when it, with the heat and the water and all that, and it starts boiling, and if it is there is no room to boil. So it's going to go two ways, and you're trying to stop it. So it says, develops a healthy lifestyle and gives much needed rest to our overburdened digestive system. In a physiological context, fasting is a metabolic condition. Fasting is a metabolic condition of a person who has not eaten for 8, 10, 12 or more hours. You will hear that fasting give us the feeling of the poor, how they feel when they don't eat. Well, that is one, but that's a very minor part of it. Not everybody is poor. You are not poor. Why are you fasting? So now this talks about the benefit to you who is fasting. Fasting is a metabolic condition of a person who has not eaten from 8 to 12, 14, 16 hours. Fasting for periods shorter than 24 hours is highly effective in weight loss and maintaining body mass indexes. That your body has so much fat, the body mass index. So the percentage of body mass index, fasting helps with that. Diagnostic testing, think about it. You have to have a blood cholesterol check or some checkup, or you have to go through, God forbid, a surgery. So that the doctors tell you from 9 o'clock tonight, you're not going to eat anything till you have a 9 o'clock appointment. You're not going to eat anything till then when you come. And don't come with anything in your stomach. Because that's how long it takes to body to absorb your food and refuses whatever. Diagnostic testing and surgical procedures require a fasting of at least 8 to 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours. The studies published by, I think I mentioned that, by the United States Department of Health and Human Services, National Library of Medicine, in the National Institute of Health. We have 7 minutes, right? I think we should be able to finish it in 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes. It says the primary health benefit on the website of United States Department of Health and Human Services. The primary benefits of intermittent fastings are, number 1 is diabetes. Short-term intermittent fasting significantly reduces the insulin resistance in the body, which increases the body's sensitivity to insulin and allows efficient transfer of glucose to the body cells, and that start reducing your blood sugar level just by fasting. Okay, of course, if that is not controlled and you cannot fast every day, so during Ramadan, if you check your blood sugar, it will be much lower. But if we come the iftar time and you have a 2-liter bottle of Coke and one guy just gulped the whole thing down, his sugar level would be 500. You know, it was 40, 60, 80, 90 or whatever before. Now at iftar he gulped the whole bottle. So we have to have a balance. We don't understand why are we fasting. That's why we are jumping on Coke, finishing a bottle of Coke. Number 2 is inflammation. The benefits of fasting and inflammation and multiple sclerosis, MS. People have multiple sclerosis diseases. Intermittent fasting, United States Department of Health and Human Services says, National Library of Medicine, it's the medical sciences, intermittent fasting for 1 month, exact time it's giving. Intermittent fasting for 1 month significantly decreases the levels of inflammatory markers in your body. On one animal study found that fasting reduces the inflammation and is beneficial for the treatment of multiple sclerosis. You know, I know some people have MS. They drink, they smoke, they eat. Nobody is thinking. Nobody knows. And some of them are Muslims. The third benefit it talks about is heart health. And it says several research have shown that 8 weeks of intermittent fasting reduces LDL, the bad cholesterol, by 25% without medicine, and triglyceride by 32%. United States Department of Health and Human Services. Another study of 110 obese adults, you can find them in masjid when they're going or coming out, overweight people. Another study of 110 obese adults showed that fasting for 3 weeks under medical supervision significantly reduces the blood pressure of people. Number 4 is brain function, you know, our favorite topic, and neurodegenerative disorders. Animal studies have shown that fasting could improve the brain function, increases nerve cell synthesis, and protect against neurodegenerative conditions such as Alzheimer and Parkinson's. Fasting can help. Number 5 is calorie intake and metabolism. In metabolism, it shows that intermittent fasting may boost your metabolism by increasing level of neurotransmitters that enhances the weight loss when they see you fasting, when they notice you fasting, when they sense you fasting, the neurotransmitter send signals and you start and enhance your weight loss. Alternate fasting. What is alternate fasting? 1 day fast, next day don't. Right? Or say 2 to 3 times a week out of Ramadan, after Ramadan or before Ramadan, 2 to 3 days of fasting. There is a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was Sunnat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he said he used to fast 2 days a week. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah is telling us what? وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. That if you are fasting, it is much better for you, only if you know about it. We are just, mashallah, summun, bukmun, umyun, fahum la yarji'un, wa la yaqilun, wa la yafhamun, wa la yatafakkurun. Sitting on our hands on our brain, and we're sitting on top of it. It says alternate fasting 2 to 3 days a week is more effective than calorie restriction of diets at increasing fat loss while simultaneously preserving your muscle tissues. The other diets and tablets and capsules you take, it hurts your muscle tissues. You lose your muscle tissues. And this does not reduce, fasting is not reducing your muscle tissues. Your muscles are there. When you start eating after iftar, they continuously getting nourishment. And when you start lifting weight or walking and jogging and all that, and you are fine. I mean, we have been doing construction work here, during fast. So, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Number 6 is growth hormone secretion. It says that studies show that intermittent fasting significantly increases the level of human growth hormones, which is important in metabolism, growth, weight loss, and muscle strength. Fasting does that. Number 7 is delay in aging. Now everybody wants to listen to this one because it delays your aging, longevity of your life. It says several animal studies show promising results that fasting delays the aging and increase the longevity. In one study, some of the rats that were fed every day experienced a delayed, some of the rats that were fed every day, every other day. Some of the rats, lab animals, which were fed every other day, experienced a delayed rate of aging and lived 83% longer than the rats, those who were eating every day. Number 8, cancer prevention and effectiveness of chemotherapy. Animal and test tube studies in the labs supervised by United States Department of Health and Human Services, those studies have indicated that fasting may benefit the treatment and prevention of cancer, in blocking tumor formation and increase the effectiveness of chemotherapy. The religious and the secular text, my respected brothers and sisters, confirms, as Allah the Almighty says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, in ayah number 183, and in ayah number 184, which we are studying today, in ayah number 184, it is telling us, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ أَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. The fasting is better for you only if you know it. These secular studies and religious texts confirms that it is best for you only if you knew. The other point which I want to talk about, inshallah, and time is up, but 2-3 minutes, is about Laylatul Qadr, the benefits of it and all that. My respected brothers and sisters, we seek Laylatul Qadr by decorating masajid. Put lights inside, outside, perfume being sprayed. Spending the whole night in the masjid or in the comfort of our own houses and praying and reading Quran. Good deed. But we should look for Laylatul Qadr in going out and finding and helping the poor and the widows and the orphans and the inmates, those who are in prison, paying for the debts of the poor. That there are a lot of inmates. I go to prisons, every week. That there are a lot of people sitting in prison for a long time because they owe somebody some money and they don't have it, so they got locked up. Get him out, pay his debt, pay an orphan's debt, pay a widow's debt, pay the debts of the poor, feed the needy, help a struggling student, visit the sick in the hospitals, providing medicine to poor, visiting cemeteries, teaching our families about Quran and lecture them about Quran, talk to them about Quran, practice the Quran on yourself in front of your children, patching up relationships, paying dues to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has dues upon us. We are more worried about PG&E's bill. They'll cut off our electricity if we don't pay it, than the dues which we owe to Allah. So pay Allah's dues to Allah and the dues of the destitute people in your community, fixing relationship, seeking the forgiveness of the people you hurt, and seeking Allah's forgiveness, and forgive those who have hurt you. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. You will find Laylatul Qadr by doing this on those sacred nights, instead of just sitting in a corner of a masjid. When the ummah is in this condition, that Allah has stopped listening to our dua because of our deeds. Go do this. Bring people up with you, and you will find Laylatul Qadr. And then there are those whose wife don't allow them to sleep at home in Laylatul Qadr. They go to masjid and sleep there. A lot of them you would find. You know, that there is namaz, prayers are going on, and you would hear somebody, you know, sleeping, and you can hear him snoring. You know, like a broken tailpipe of a truck. And they come to masjid and sleep, or they stand outside to smoke cigarettes, drink coffee or tea, and talk politics. You know, and after Ramadan, we all go back to our routines. Makes me think that I look at my own deeds and the condition of my community and the condition of our political and majority of our religious leaders. And I say to myself, how unfortunate would it be that you didn't go to, on day of judgment, you were not sent to Jahannam. Inshallah, none of you. And pray for me to have the same experience, that I'm not sent to Jahannam. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. That I look at the condition and I say to myself, what if we are not sent to Jahannam and we are going towards the Jannah, and then we are told, because of your deeds, because of all these times which we have given you, time which we have given you to earn something, you didn't. Today there is no room for you in Jannah. That vast Jannah, which is arduha ardus samawati wal ard, there is no room for me. Simply because of my ignorance and my arrogance and my lack of knowledge and my lack of heeding to the right of Allah and to the right of people. Today's study tells us, not knowing the social, spiritual and medical benefits of Ramadan, mankind, especially Muslims, those who call themselves Muslims, have a lot to learn about the benevolence of Ramadan and of fasting, you know, what is in it for us, and the benevolence of the most merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and learn how to benefit from it. أقول قولي هذا واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. This program, all my programs, all presentations are free of cost. I don't charge no money from nobody. And you can watch it on my Facebook page, on my timeline, and also on YouTube by my first, middle and last name. Inshallah, see you next week, same place, same time, and we'll make dua inshallah, and make dua for me and mine also inshallah. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar wa qina adhab al-qabri wa qina adhab al-hashri وقنا عذاب جهنم وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا ورزقا واسعا وقلبا خاشيا ولسانا ذاكرا وحلالا طيبا وتوبة نصوحا وتوبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت والمغفرة عند الحساب والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والفاتحة. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.